What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode here on the Falappi YouTube channel. And today we're going to be giving my thoughts on working in the automotive industry. 1 year and 6 months or so into the trade, working for Honda as a express tech apprentice, whatever you want to call it, and give you some insight, give you some tips, and just tell you how my life's going. With that, let's get into it, guys. Welcome back to the video, guys. Like I said, my name is Mike, and I said it I think about 4 takes ago, but making this video is a little bit complicated. Like I said at the beginning of the video, we're talking about my experiences working for Honda, working as an express technician, apprentice technician. I'm a year and a half almost into doing it now. Started in August 22, and now we're here in January of 2024. A lot of things have changed at the the dealership I work at from then to now. A lot of things have changed with me from then to now. My skill set, things that I know, things that I've learned. Quick shout out before I get too far into it. Drink of the day, if you've been watching the channel long enough. I like to usually drink something. Today we're on the Nescafe Classico. For reference, I've been up since 2:30 in the morning. I don't know why. I went to bed early. Woke up early. This stuff, instant coffee, your parents probably told you it's not that good, and I will say it's not as good as brewing a fresh cup of coffee yourself. However, when you're like me and you're a tradesman and you got to get up early and do a whole bunch of stuff, you don't got time. I don't want to pre-prep the coffee maker the night before. I don't even own one anymore. I have a Keurig in the cupboard. That's not really what I want to be doing. This is easy and fast. They say to put a teaspoon in. I use 2 tablespoons. It's strong enough for me. It's my second cup of the day, and I'm feeling pretty good. So, Nescafe Classico, $3 at Aldi's. It's supposed to make, I don't know, some crazy amount of cups or something in here that they say you can make per thing. I don't know. It's said on here somewhere. It says 100 cups, but the way I cook it, it'll probably make less than 100 cups. Anyway, that has nothing to do with working for Honda. So, and I said this a minute ago when I wanted to talk about coffee, but before I get too far into talking about how I got into everything, first of all, I put a video out a year ago. And it was called Can You or Should You Become an Apprentice, Lube Tech, Express Tech, whatever, without a lot of work experience or educational experience. And I got a comment on that video. Go back and watch the video if you didn't see it. But got a comment on that video from a guy, and he was like, don't do what Mike Falappi did. Go to school. You'll learn safety stuff. You'll learn stuff about, trade secrets. Well, not trade secrets, but, trade practices, manufacturer-specific stuff. And, you'll do it fast. You'll get into the industry faster. I don't disagree with the guy, and I never said in the video, that was clickbait, really. I never told anyone that, you should, don't go to school, cheat the system, no. If you have the money, if you have the time, if you have the aspirations, definitely go to trade school. If you're watching this and you're in high school and you're deciding, should I go to Votech to get into some sort of a trade, do it. If you have no interest in going to college and you want to do a trade job, go to Votech. You'll get certifications, and you can get out of high school and then get into something just like that. That wasn't my path. Again, if you haven't watched old videos on the channel, I've talked about it before. I went to college for 2 years, did a creative arts degree in music industry, didn't like it, switched to liberal arts communications degree, really didn't like that either. Felt like I learned nothing those whole 2 years I was in college. Had a job in the dining halls cooking. Let me know if you want to see me do a cooking video, because I can cook a little bit. So I could teach you some recipes on a budget, cheap, fast stuff that you could make if you want. Let me know. But other personal things in my life happened, and I was like, I'm done. I'm quitting college. Went on Indeed. At the time I was working in a factory. It was getting towards, they were switching over to 410s, and I had to get up at 5, and I had to get up at 3 in the morning and be at work by 5, and I didn't like it. I was done with it. So I decided that wasn't what I wanted to do. And, I've always liked cars and working on things. I'd been working on lawnmowers on the channel. That all predated me, doing what I'm doing now. So I was like, I'm going to see if I could find a job, some kind of entry-level position getting into automotive. And I applied at different places. And, the place that called me up was Honda. Into the Honda dealer. It's a bigger Honda dealer in southwestern Pennsylvania. And at the time, the service manager that they had, was really putting an emphasis on bringing in people, not necessarily people with the qualifications. I mean, I guess they weren't getting too many people showing up that, had all kind of paperwork and credentials. But they were specifically looking for people that wanted to show up and, were willing to put in the work to learn and, learn as they go and work their way up from the bottom up to, who knows where, I guess. So, I didn't really, I had some tools, from working on the lawnmowers, and, they had a thing going on at the time where, they would give you a toolbox and, starter set of tools. Well, I never got the starter set of tools, but I did get the empty toolbox. And that was fine because I had most of the stuff they gave you anyway, socket sets, wrenches, and stuff that I brought in from my home shop. And obviously now, a year and a half into it, I've started collecting a lot of stuff pretty heavy. Things that you probably don't need to do the jobs that I'm doing, but obviously I'm at the point in my life where I know that regardless of where or what I'm working on, that I'm going to be some form of mechanic or technician through and through till the end. So it doesn't bother me starting to spend money on my career and having things at work. But they promised you all that stuff, and it was a pretty good starting out gig. And anyone really, in my opinion, can learn how to change oil, rotate tires. I knew that going in. I mean, when I toured that Votech in freshman year of high school, they taught me how to rotate tires, and that was the one thing that stuck with me I think from that tour. That and really when I went, if I had gone to Votech, I don't think I would have went into automotive. I think I would have went into welding because that interested me the most. And do I regret not going to Votech? Kind of. I mean, like I said, that wasn't an option for my parents, but at the same time, I did a lot of extracurriculars and stuff in high school that I don't think I would have done had I gone into Votech. But I did learn how to rotate tires when we took the tour, and I kept that knowledge with me the whole thing, front to back, unless it's a 4x4, then you cross rotate, even though Honda technically says that you need to do steers to the rear and then cross the rears up to the front, which I can tell you now that not everybody does that, but I digress. I knew how to change oil, knew how to rotate tires. You're there for a week and you start to learn how to mount and balance tires, and then you're there for a month or two and you learn how to do transmission services, differential services. You learn how to do transfer case, brake flush, power steering flush, all that stuff. And you start stacking that knowledge, and you go from doing basic oil changes that pay 0.4. If you don't know how flat rate time works, obviously I'm hourly, so it doesn't matter, but we still have to charter time. For us at Honda, oil change is 0.4, tire rotation is 0.2, so you go from doing these 0.4 or 0.6 cars, and then you start stacking things on top. If you do you do a differential service and an oil change, you do the 1.1, or it could be 1.3 with a rotate, or sometimes you could sell a 2-hour car out of Express doing just those basic services. And you start to stack that, you get familiar with tools, and then you go and you have the higher level apprentices that've been working there for a year or two, and they start doing warranty stuff, recalls, and just basic brakes, suspension, alignments, lower level engine work, valve cover gasket, spark plug maintenance, kind of preventative engine maintenance, mechanical, all the way up to valve, head gaskets. They'll do, and different stuff. They'll drop transmissions and all kind of stuff like that. So you get a little bit of learning from watching and helping and being that guy. I mean, sometimes as much as you want to do work on your own, sometimes if you want to learn, you just got to go and ask, hey, you need a hand, and then you learn by observation and helping out a little bit. That brings us to about a year in, back in August. they were like, you know, we'll send you off to get your inspection emissions licenses. For those who aren't in Pennsylvania, or maybe don't care or pay attention or whatever, I don't know. Basically, you know, we have state safety inspection mandatory in all counties of Pennsylvania. And if I live in Washington County, work in Allegheny County, those are emissions counties. There's other emissions counties around. I forget the exact number, but there's quite a few now that have mandatory emissions testing. What, you know, in order to be an emissions and safety inspector, you got to go and get your certifications. So what they did, you know, they sent me away after work at night to, for me, it was a place not too far away from the dealership, maybe out about half an hour away. Rosedale Tech. It's north of Pittsburgh. You know, it's an actual technical school. You can go there and get a degree, but they also offer the safety and emissions training. So I went and did that. You know, 2 nights for emissions, 4 nights for inspection. Dealership paid for it. And then also, since doing that, I've also learned how to do alignments, do 4-wheel alignments. So, you know, you can do mount balance 4 tires, and then, you know, every time we sell 4 tires, we always, you know, recommend that the customer gets an alignment. That way, you know, the brand new tires wear pretty straight and even. So, you know, that's pretty good, you know, for Express, you know, alignments, tires, oil change, basic fluid services, you know. I have the ability to do brakes and some minor suspension work, even though really, because of the way that the dealership runs, we don't get the opportunity to do a whole lot of that because of the, you know, we have a lot of flat rate technicians, and we also, on top of all of them, we have 3 full-time apprentice technician, kind of, you know, hourly technicians that, you know, also do higher work. So then it's like, you know, if they start giving too much work to, you know, the hourly express techs, you know, basically it comes in order. You know, on a busy summer day where every bay is full, they're more willing and more likely to give guys like us heavier work than they are in the middle of the dead of winter when we're really slow. And obviously, you know, I'm hourly, I get paid the same whether I do 1 car or 10 cars versus the flat rate guys. They're older, they have families to feed, and you know, it could be a bad day if they're not making their 8 hours. So you know, I understand all that, so I don't really pressure them to give me work too much. It's kind of just you wait in the wings until you know, a position opens up to move up, and you know, that is what it is. And you'll find that in every shop. I've talked to guys that used to work at other dealers around us, and you know, they were like, you know, I got hired as an apprentice and I had to wait to move up, and you know, this is how it is. You know, it gets to a point where sometimes, you know, if you sell work on a car you're working on, you know, you just do it. But you know, then you run the risk of, you know, a lot of people being unhappy because you didn't turn the time over, versus other times you try to turn the time over and no one wants it. So I mean, you just kind of gotta pick the lesser of 2 evils depending on the day. If it's really busy, just do the work and don't bother people, and if it's dead, you try to, you know, give the work away and, you know, help another guy out. And sometimes it works both ways. You know, you give a guy a job this week, he shows you how to do something next week. You know, other times you just turn it over to turn it over. But that's basically how it's going with me. Would I recommend you get a job is doing that? Sure. You know, I'd recommend looking into Honda, Acura, Toyota, you know, first, if that's a good, you know, if you have one of those dealerships in your area. Easy cars to work on. Don't vary that much from model to model. Don't vary that much from year to year. Pretty easy stuff to work on. Hyundais, Kias, Nissans, also not terrible to work on. I would imagine working as a line technician for Hyundai or Kia wouldn't be great when it comes time to pull a whole bunch of GDI motors under warranty. Luckily, that's not an issue because, you know, we're a Honda dealer. You know, we're a Honda dealer in a pretty highly populated area, mixed with the fact that our dealership group owns other makes and models as well. So we work on a lot of things, especially in Express. You know, when we do get inspections and other higher work, it's a lot of non-Honda vehicles, because a lot of the guys that have worked 20, 30 years on Hondas just don't have any interest in working on non-Hondas, just because, you know, they claim, you know, they can make their time faster on a product they're accustomed to. which makes sense. I mean, if you've worked 30 years working on one thing, you don't really want to go work on another, I don't think, unless you really have to. So I've done a fair number of inspections and alignments on, Mazdas and Jeeps and other kind of stuff that, no one else really wants to work on. It's not a bad job. I mean, I get paid a decent amount of money compared to working in a McDonald's or a supermarket, and it's a trade job. Obviously, there's room to grow, whether it be in automotive or moving up into diesel or going into industrial maintenance or, turning wrenches wherever. So that brings me to the next point, what does my future outlook look like? Well, I can't really tell you where I'll be 6 months from now, 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 20 years from now, when I retire, whatever. But what I can tell you is I've learned in the year and a half that I've worked for Honda that I want to continue wrenching on whatever, Only time will tell what I'll be working on, but I know that I enjoy working on things, whether it be on the Hondas I work on at work or the stuff I work on in my free time. But I've learned a lot of skills, and they've poured over into my personal life. I bought a car off of our dealership auction pile for $2,000, 2008 Corolla S, 175,000 miles, which is pretty low for a Toyota. They traded it into the dealership misfiring with a bad coil pack. I gave them $1,300 for it. They sold it to me for $2,000 because that was after my $500 charge and then the Pennsylvania taxes and fees. I put $300 worth of parts in it, and I've driven it somewhere between 500 and 1,000 miles, and it runs like a clock because it's a Toyota. And if I had never gotten this job working for Toyota, working for Honda, I probably would have never bought that Toyota because I wouldn't have really known how to fix it. But I've watched people do valve covers, I've watched people do spark plugs, I've watched people do coil packs, and I mean, it's no brainer. $300 in parts and about an hour in labor, and I have a car that drives circles around a 91 Civic. I also still have my truck, obviously. You saw it in last week's video. But anyway, and I've also, I've been able to give advice to people that don't work in automotive, people that I know, so, it really is, that's the thing I like about this job. When I worked in the factory and I, didn't, it was a good job. It was a union job. I mean, there quarterly increases in pay, yearly raises, all kind of union incentives. The only issue was, I didn't really feel like anything I did at that job I could really translate to being in the job outside. I will say my time working in the factory, I got to know the millwrights a little bit, the industrial maintenance mechanics, and I enjoyed learning a little bit about that. Obviously, that wasn't my job there, so, I didn't really get to do anything. But, getting to watch them do their job and talking to them a little bit, maybe that's something, that's something I would consider maybe doing down the road. I know that's a lot of shift work, a lot of 3 to 11s, midnights, it's not straight daylight ever, doing that job. But, that's one avenue to go down. I've always really enjoyed diesels and small engines, agricultural equipment, construction equipment, anywhere from New Holland tractors to big Caterpillar D9 dozers and, all that kind of stuff, And I also like cars, Hondas are a great make and model. Toyotas have been fun to work on. I like Acuras a lot. There's a lot of money in Euro cars. Not the biggest fan of domestics. I mean, my dad was a big General Motors guy. My mother used to drive a lot of Fords. My first car was a Ford. My third car, which was the first car I ever actually bought with my own money, was a GM. But after working on a lot of them, I'll give you an example. Ford Fusion, any given year, you could have got like 2 or 3 or 4 different engines, multiple different transmissions from trim level to, year, and versus, an Accord of any given year, there's like 2 engine options, 2 transmission options, maybe 3, and it's like even from like CRV to Accord to Civic to HRV to Odyssey to Pilot to Ridgeline, they all use the same oil filters. The drain plugs are all the same size. The locations of things are all pretty similar. I mean, the way you align them is all pretty similar. They all use, there's only a few tire sizes they use. They all use one of two lug nut sizes. And that's one good thing when you pick a manufacturer, And I mean, there's people that like, I've met people like, oh, I like working on Fords. I like working on GMs. I know guys that love working on Euro cars, And that's your mileage will vary about what you want to work on. I like working on, these Asian cars personally. I think they're good. I mean, I can see the money in Euro cars. I wouldn't be opposed to working on them. My experience working on them hasn't been terrible. Same thing with Hyundais, Kias, Mazdas, all that kind of stuff. Not terrible vehicles. But yeah, so my outlook, who knows where I'll be in the future, but I know I want to keep working on stuff. I love collecting tools. I love learning how to use different tools that make the job easier, and then translating that stuff to, all different aspects of life. So, basically in closing, that's what I'm doing. You could do what I'm doing. You could also go to school and learn how to do mechanics. I'm never going to tell you how to live your life when it comes to doing that, because I've met guys who didn't go to school and know a lot of stuff, and I've met guys that went to school and have a piece of paper, and that's about it. I know that I wasn't cut out for college in a 4-year university. I don't know how well I would have done going to an actual school, for trade school. I mean, I could see how there's probably a lot of benefits to doing that if you can take the practical application and the credential and make it together and put it as one, because piece of paper ain't no good if you don't know how to apply that stuff to the everyday world. So, obviously, like I said, your mileage will vary. If you're in high school, go to Votech. If you really know you don't want to go to college, and you don't really know what you want to do, take your tour as a freshman. Even if you don't want to get into automotive, there's a lot of jobs in construction, auto body, welding, electrical. Some of those Votechs even have stuff along the lines of criminal justice and computer programming and all kind of stuff. So I mean, there's always options. I meet so many people who didn't go to college, and they're like, oh, I'm stuck doing this, that, or the other dead end job that they just can't get out of. And I'm like, there's options out there for you, So there's jobs. It's an environment where everyone's hiring, apparently. So, go out there, look for something, and then, maybe you could be like me. I'm pretty happy, being a mechanic. Maybe I won't be 10 years from now, but, as of right now, I enjoy it. So we'll see, maybe 6 months or a year or however, maybe I'll make another video. Maybe I'll still be wearing this shirt. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll be in this apartment. Maybe I won't. Obviously, a year ago when I did the 6-month video, I was in the same chair in the same spot. But we'll see where I am next year at this time. So, thanks for watching this video. Got more stuff coming for you. I hope you enjoy this video. I'm going to try to do some more videos along this line. I want to do a video talking about what are some basic tools that you might need to just get started in this industry. I'd like to do a toolbox tour of my work toolboxes. I want to try to do more project videos. I'd love to do more exploring videos. Maybe I can get some other people to do some videos with me. I don't know. I'd love to not be alone in videos, but we'll see what happens on the channel. But if you want to know what's going to go on, subscribe. I try to post shorts. I try to post community updates. Like this video, leave a comment about what you want to see, and we'll see where it goes, guys. But I want to thank my 320 subscribers. I want to thank the 400 some people that watched the video last week. I hope people watch this, and like I said, no hate to anyone who either went to school or didn't go to school, but this is the path I've chosen. I support people who go to school. I support people who do what I did, and I'm not trying to influence anyone either way, but I just want to let you know that you can get a job in automotive if you find the right way, the right place, the right people who will help you. A year ago, or a year and 6 months ago when I walked into the dealership, I had no credentials, and now I have enough credentials where I could probably walk in any shop of my choice and, you know, start doing inspections and alignments today. So, you know, and that's not me saying I want to leave. That's just me saying, you know, if it hadn't been for the place I work now, they empowered me to go out and do all that stuff. You know, I didn't do that on my own. You know, they paid for my inspection training. They, you know, helped me with on-the-job training, and I'm grateful to the Honda dealer for helping me out. So, like I said, remember to like, comment, subscribe. Good luck to anyone watching this, contemplating getting into the industry. I hope it works out for you the way it's worked out for me. I hope you're able to move on. And we will see you on the next video here on the Mike Falappi YouTube channel. Thanks, guys. Have a good day. See you later.